Good afternoon from Mirabel in Quebec, Canada. We're here at the Airbus Canada production facility where the Airbus 220s are being built. My name is Pauls Tzalaitis. I'm a captain and head of flight operations at Air Baltic.
Yeah, hello from my side, and specifically to all of the AirClips fans. As Paul's already mentioned, we're in Mirabel in the production facility for the A220, and my name is Gerhard Ramke. I'm chief pilot at Air Baltic and as well a captain on the A220.
And today we have a very exciting day ahead of us, a very interesting day where we're taking our brand new aircraft from Mirabel. We're doing a direct ferry flight to Europe, back to our home base in Riga, Latvia. We'll be doing that shortly. Currently behind us we have our next aircraft, which is in production. So the aircraft we're flying today is our 18th Airbus 220 of our all new Airbus 220 fleet. And the aircraft you see behind us is the 19th aircraft, the one that we'll be taking shortly, just in a few days or possibly next week.
It's always an exciting process to take delivery of brand new aircraft here in the factory in Mirabel in Montreal. And so we're quite excited to be leaving in about an hour and ferrying the aircraft directly over to Riga.
The aircraft we're flying today was accepted a few days ago and is fully ready for flight. The opportunity to do the acceptance and the delivery flight is something special that we've had the honor to do numerous times already before with our growing fleet. It's something great to take a brand new aircraft, state-of-the-art, the most modern airliner out there, in a brand new state, and bring it from the factory, bring it home to its new home where it'll be flying and doing lots of work for us as Air Baltic, as the airline. The flight today will take approximately 8 hours, but we'll do a full briefing once we get into the aircraft and show you the route as well. We'll shortly be gathering our stuff and we'll be on our way out to the aircraft. aircraft has just been towed out to the stand. We can actually see it on our left-hand side. It's parked with the stairs there, and as soon as we're finished with the briefing here, we're going to be making our way out to the aircraft.
Yep.
A few papers printed out. Of course, we try to keep it clean on the iPad, but we still do have a number of the documents that we're printing out and working with on the paper. But basically, if we just start going through what we have here today, we'll be operating as Air Baltic or Bravo Tango India 9801 on our flight out from Mirabel to Riga. That's direct flight, all the way crossing over the North Atlantic. Just some of the big figures for the flight today. We'll have a flight time of 7 hours and 57 minutes, so almost 8 hours is planned, with a cruise speed of 0.78, and we should be making the North Atlantic crossing at flight level 410.
Yeah.
We need to get up before we get our North Atlantic clearance, but I think weight-wise we should be good. Tanks, as always, full, leaving the factory. That's one of the good things about taking new aircraft. Part of the deal is you buy a new aircraft, you also get full tanks of fuel, and so in our case that's 17 tons on board today.
Perfect. I think every car manufacturer could, take it down as an example.
Yeah, would be appreciated. We're flight planned with alternate. For destination is Palanga, that's in Lithuania. No problems on that. 30-minute flight from Riga if we need to go to alternate. And of course, with the full tanks, we are not in a minimum fuel type of situation. We should have a few tons extra left over once we complete the flight. We have the routing for today. We've put it into the iPad, into our Jeppesen charts. It's pretty standard, as we've been doing before. Leaving out from Mirabel, we're crossing over to Newfoundland to position Hoist, which is our entry point into the North Atlantic. Further, our routing takes us just south, so we'll be crossing the southern tip of Greenland, just on the very tip of that, and then proceeding eastwards, coming just south of Iceland, and to cross over north of the Faroe Islands, and then Ipton is our exit point of the North Atlantic, and then we're into almost the home stretch, which is crossing just north of Oslo in Norway, south of Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden, and then into Riga in Latvia. Expecting in Riga, I think forecast winds is approach from the south northwards, so landing on runway 36. Going into the weather and NOTAMs, both of us have been doing this flight a number of times, so we have a pretty good experience and know what to expect en route, and both here at the home base of Airbus here in Mirabel, and obviously also in Riga. NOTAM wise, I haven't marked anything of particular interest that would be operationally
anything either, no.
Operationally significant. Into the weather, Riga is forecast, it's actually good weather and actually nice. The temperature will be nice. It's getting warmer, and expecting just some light clouds when we're coming in for our landing, which it will be early morning. Destination alternate is fine weather-wise. En route, we have a number of interesting places that we could use as en route alternates. Goose Bay on the coast in Canada. I haven't been there before. I think you have?
Yeah, I have, yeah. When we ferried the Q400s from Toronto over to Riga, brand new, we had a stop in Goose Bay for refueling.
So it's there if we need it.
Yep.
The weather-wise, there actually some light snow is forecast. light rain, but still the aerodrome is definitely usable. Here we have some of the weather charts coming out with our routing. As we see, actually very light, a bit not the ordinary picture that we have a very light wind taking us initially as a tailwind, then turning into a headwind once we're across into Europe. Light. I think the total impact on the flight was that we're looking at a total
even a headwind.
Component of just 2 knots on the route for the entire route.
Which is rather unusual, but explains the long flight time.
We have a long flight time, which I mentioned before, just under 8 hours, so 7 hours 57. I think the quickest I've done this flight is around 7 hours and 10 minutes. So we can see that the wind can play this role, about 40-50 minutes impact on the flight time. On the significant weather charts, nothing is on our route of consequence. Just a few more things. We had to do a manual load sheet. That's been completed, so we're good to go with the figures. We'll get that loaded into the FMS, and we're also balance-wise fine with the empty aircraft on board. It will be us and a few people from our team coming back to Riga.
Pretty light, just about 55 tons takeoff weight, and then with a trip fuel of roughly 13.5, then the landing weight is just at 42 tons.
42 tons coming in, and then planning to land with approximately 3.5 tons, 3 to 3.5 tons fuel remaining.
Yes.
Good. And just finally, just some specifics on the route. We have a full route briefing. Since this isn't our normal scheduled operation, we have a few things just to remember. With the North Atlantic, we're actually we have the full North Atlantic briefing here. A few things to note with this. Firstly, our route takes us on purpose north above the North Atlantic tracks. These are the actual tracks being used for this afternoon's return from North America to Europe. And as you can see, they're taking advantage of the jet stream to get better lift over to Europe. And our routing is approximately here, as I said, below Greenland. So we're well clear of the North Atlantic traffic crossing over. Our aircraft is not with any HF equipment, not with any SATCOM, so we have VHF coverage here for some part when we're talking with Gander. Gander is rebroadcast via Greenland, so we also have coverage here, and then we have some portion here where we're actually waiting to get into coverage with Reykjavik. So we're clear of the North Atlantic routes. Jet stream we're below. The jet stream is below us, and also at flight level 340 today. I think for the big picture, that's what we're looking at today. Nice flight. 8 hours.
Nothing much to see outside. It will get dark at some point. Nevertheless, it is always an exciting flight to bring in a new aircraft into Riga. So, and although it's standard and straight ahead, it's an exciting thing to do.
Good. I think the next step is to get to the aircraft. I'll be getting the aircraft set up with the FMS, putting in the flight plan. You'll do a thorough walk around, check out the airplane condition. I know that it's brand new. Our technicians have also been very busy preparing the aircraft and making sure it's all right, but you'll put your professional eyes onto the aircraft as well.
I will do.
Let's do it.
Cool. Yes, off we go. we'll be doing a walk around now. Well, I'll be doing a walk around, which is basically not really required anymore, because as you can imagine, the technicians and engineers have been checking this aircraft very, very intensely over the last days. Nevertheless, it belongs to a pilot's job that directly before the flight, he or she just goes outside and has another look that really everything is fine. And on a normal line flight, what we would be looking for is any kind of damages there might have been, either by ground equipment, a stair which has not been placed in a proper way. Specifically, the sensors here in the front of the aircraft are of course very, very sensitive to these things, but nevertheless the skin of an aircraft is very, very vulnerable as well. We want to see that there are no dents and no damages, no scratches in there either. And then of course birds, as you know, specifically in this time of the year, they can be of very heavy impact if you collide with a bird. So we do want to make sure that there are no damages like that at all. So I'll just do a very quick walk around now and see that everything is really fine. The nose landing gear, I mentioned the sensors already. Very, very important for us. I always take a very intense look that these sensors are not in any way touched. Brand new Airbus A220-300, as it nicely says there on the fuselage, and we're very proud of taking delivery of this 18th example of our fleet. As you can see, this would be normally something I would pay specific attention to. There's a little bit of fluid down there on the floor. We've got the APU running. The air conditioning unit with that is fed and produces fresh air in the cabin. And this is just condensed water coming out of the air conditioning system. Static discharges, as you can see here, these small little antenna line-like looking things. They are static discharges, as you can imagine. Depending on the ambient conditions, it is very important that any kind of load, electrical load onto the aircraft is discharged overboard. Don't want to talk about a lightning strike or something like that, not the extreme cases, but nevertheless friction of course causes electric statics as well. So the main landing gear, it has our brakes, of course brakes on both sides. The nose landing gear doesn't have brakes at all. The brakes on these aircraft are electric, so no hydraulic lines anymore. So anything you can see here is basically electric lines which go to the brakes. The tires, you have, like on everything on an aircraft, you've got redundancy. So you could just put a single tire on it, but if one tire deflates, or how to say, has some damage to it during a landing run or takeoff run, then you still got a second tire there. So it's all about redundancy. 2 pilots, 2 engines, 2 wheels on every landing gear, so that if one breaks, you've still got the other. And as you can see here in the landing gear, we don't really have any closure. There's not like on big aircraft a door which would seal the compartment of where the wheel folds in. So you see that the wheels come up like this, they fold in, and then basically this here is the lid to the wheel compartment. The noise development, we've got the APU running. The APU is the third engine actually on board of our aircraft. It is a small turbine engine which is located in the tail cone here. You can see the doors to that little engine down here and the exhaust over there. And it feeds us with electricity at the moment. We don't have any other source because of course the engines are not running now.
It gives us fresh air in the cabin as well, warm or cold, whatever we'd like to do. And so it powers the aircraft with all of the essentials. And even here you realize how much more quiet this aircraft is in comparison to any standard aircraft you would know on the market now. So it is loud, but by far not as loud as you would normally hear that. And the environment around an airport very much appreciates the lot lower noise and sound emissions of this aircraft as well. Down here we look that the ground crew would do that again, but we look that all of the doors and hatches are closed as well. There's a lot of small little compartments underneath. You've got the wing to body fairing here, which is this part of the fuselage. You see the seals are going around here, and this one here just stretches around the body of the aircraft, and it contains a lot of systems. All the hydraulic pumps are in here, a lot of other systems as well, and they've got of course all sorts of little small hatches and doors which need to be closed. So during my walk around I watch as well that they don't look like this, but that they are properly closed and that we can take off with everything nice and neatly done. Brand new engines, of course, like everything on this plane, they're brand new, but they're not new development as well. And the difference on these engines here are, this is a geared turbofan, so it has a gearbox basically, ensuring that the engine has a much higher bypass ratio, which is 12:1, which is absolutely exceptional. The aircraft is in excellent condition, as I thought, and as we had expected. So we're basically ready for our ferry flight to Riga. So off we go on board and get the final preparations done. See you soon.
Mirabel Radio, good afternoon. This is our Baltic, Bravo Tango India 9801.
And we'll be good for runway 06.
Air Baltic 9801, Mirabel Radio, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. We'll be ready very soon. We just want to make sure, and we're parked at the moment in the Bombardier apron, and we just want to make sure that you've got an active flight plan for us.
We do. Routing is not as filed. Advise ready to copy.
Stand by for a minute.
Please keep it.
Paul, do you have the flight plan for me? Thank you. And Mirabel Radio, Baltic 9801, ready to go.
9801, Roger. ATC clears Baltic 9801 to the Echo Victor Romeo Alpha Airport via the Sid Mirabel 9 departure. Routing is Bieber, Bravo, India, Bravo, Echo, Romeo, Oberon, Oscar, Bravo, Romeo, Oscar, November, Mobub, it's Mike, Oscar, Bravo, Uniform, Bravo, Eb Moss, Echo, Bravo, Mike, Oscar, Sierra, Yankee, Quebec, Bravo, Answer, Alpha, November, Charlie, Echo, Romeo, as filed, depart runway 06, squawk code 6211. Do not depart until departure validation has been received.
Thank you very much. That's all copied. I'll read that back. So runway 06 for us to Riga via the Mirabel 9 departure. Bieber, Oberon, Mobub, Eb Moss, Yankee, Quebec Bravo, and then Answer, and then after that as filed, and the squawk 6211. We will not be departing without validation, and I'll call you back for taxi as soon as we leave the apron.
Air Baltic 9801, Roger. Contact me on frequency 121.8 when you're ready to taxi, and read back correct.
Thanks very much. For the taxi, we'll call you on 101.8 Air Baltic 9801.
Yeah, they actually did this last time as well,
Wow.
where the initial part of the clearance was changed with these positions, but we have answer and then it's flight plan route, so it's just the first part of the routing that is being adjusted.
Cool.
So you see, I've just put in the route. I double checked it, and we see it makes sense. We have the total distance of 3445, and that matches our flight plan here. We'll have the chance actually before when we get our North Atlantic clearance, we'll recheck the North Atlantic points that are in the FMS. But currently it makes sense, and it's giving us a flight time of 7 hours 48, and landing fuel 3.2 tons. So that's for the routing, and it's initially planned in the FMS. It's set up for flight level 390, but we know we're shooting for 410 over the North Atlantic.
Sure.
Yeah. So actually, we can start with the pre-flight checklist.
Cool. Give me a minute.
Sure.
Here comes the pre-flight checklist. Ready?
Go ahead, please.
Airplane documents.
Okay, on board and checked.
The emergency equipment.
Checked.
Gear pins.
On board, so that was confirmed that we have them here.
And the overhead panel.
Checked, except for reset there, it's off.
Clear. And the glacier.
Checked.
Displays.
Just get back here. This was done back into map mode, and I'm also going to use a vertical display. So that's checked.
Cool. Ice detector test.
It's completed.
Circuit breakers.
Checked.
The ICAS and info.
Okay, on the ICAS, looking normal with it being checked, yep, and info is also checked.
Altimeters.
So it's the latest on info. Quebec was 29065, and that's set to cross-checked.
Super, set and cross-checked. Center panel.
Okay, it's checked.
The pedestal.
It's checked.
Rudder trim.
Yeah, that's also checked.
Side sticks.
Checked left.
Check right. Oxygen masks.
Left is checked.
Right is checked. And the flight deck door
That's
test.
Complete.
Perfect. Pre-flight checklist complete. So let us shortly look into performance maybe.
Yeah,
I
I
still
have
have to
that,
complete mine. 0205. And
11 was the temperature.
yeah. 11. QNH
29065.
2965.
And
takeaway is 55.4.
55.4 exactly.
Super. I've run two calculations, full length and then the is the full length you have initially?
Yeah, I'm using the
Cool.
full length there, and
I have flaps 2
yes,
with a takeoff 1 and a flex of 36
36 degrees on the flex,
Yeah.
takeoff 1.
with 79.3
79.3 checked.
and then 133, 34 and 38 and an accelerated stop distance of 23, 24.
That's checked. All right, so before start checklist.
Before start checklists, we have the takeoff briefing.
Yeah, takeoff briefing. We have we're here on the Bombardier apron. As we discussed, once we get out from Tango, then we'll go to Mirabel Tower or Mirabel Radio. Expecting 06, we'll take the full length, no problem. There's a few aircraft in the circuit, but pretty short taxi from a short taxi to the holding point for 06.
Yeah.
And then we're cleared now already the Mirabel 9 departure. That's set up in the FMS here for runway 06. And that's very simple, straight ahead on the heading 060 to climbing 3000.
Yeah.
Then expecting radar vectors to our route.
3007 checked.
Yeah, that's there, checked. So the safety altitude is 3,300 in the north west quadrant for departure routing, it's 3,100.
Yeah.
For the and for the non-normals, we're operating with our standard procedure. Yeah, so before 80 knots, with any problem, we're aborting the takeoff after 80 knots, W1 only for the significant failures. We'll make the stopping procedure. After V1, we're out. We have takeoff weight currently 55.4. A bit overweight, but no problem to come back. Weather is good here in Mirabel. We'll also take care of the issues and come back as needed if that's the case. Otherwise, standard procedures. Any questions?
Clear? No, none. Thanks.
Okay.
So takeoff briefing
That's
is
completed.
Perfect. APU and or external.
So we're on the APU.
The beacon.
Beacon's on.
And the park brake.
It's on.
Cool. That's before start checklist complete.
And
delivery put that on. Yeah.
And we're fully all doors is closed with doors armed as well.
Perfect. So we've got setup clearance, and I think the gentleman in front is on the listen and ready for us.
Hey, perfect. Okay, so we're fully ready up here for the start sequence is starting number 1.
Good, it's clear for number 1.
Okay, let's do it. Cool. Start left.
Left engine on.
Mirabel 23-304, altimètre 2965. Ok, donc 2965, l'altimètre est 086 au transpondeur, on appelle lorsque prêt. Roger.
Thank you.
And ignition.
Stable.
Okay, good start on number 1 now, starting number 2. Start right.
Clear for number 2.
Right engine on.
Mirabel, Bravo Tango Echo, on est prêt au départ. Bravo Tango Echo, Roger, Mirabel 23-30 à 3, mètre 2965, rappelant en vol. C'est en vol.
That's hydraulic 3 low pressure related. Checked.
Rotation.
Thank you. Stable.
Okay, ground, we have a good start on number 2. Please disconnect, remove chocks, and we're ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do so and have a good flight.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. See you next time. Bye bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you.
I can offer you the B4 taxi checklist.
I would be more than pleased to complete the before taxi checklist.
Hydraulic 3A.
Sorry, let's... Auto
3V.
on,
2V.
on,
The APU.
okay, APU off,
The flaps.
2 selected.
The wing anti-ice test is not required now. The anti-ice cowl.
So auto,
The anti-ice wing.
auto,
The flight controls.
okay. On the flight controls. Checked.
No steer.
On.
FMS.
It's set and just to confirm, takeoff 1 with the speeds as briefed with the flap 2 indication and lead sources engine. So that's
Perfect.
Performance.
Just the 36 is set for the flags.
And 36. Now we'll have to do the speeds again.
Yep. But they're they're exactly. You only have to post them. Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Check.
that's posted and that's
Super.
cleared.
Yeah.
And we have the clear signal.
Ideal. So FMS.
Set.
The trims.
Okay, it's 6.7. And 1 and 2 green.
Looks fantastic. And the ICA's an info.
That's checked.
Fine.
With the recircuit.
Perfect. So that's checked, and with that before taxi checklist is complete. You want me to get you some taxi?
Yep, so that's with first
Super.
with
I'll
our
speak to dispatch first.
dispatch. Yeah.
Dispatch, Air Baltic 98, so when we're ready to taxi.
Baltic 9801, you can proceed.
We're proceeding with the taxi. Thanks very much for your hospitality. We'll take this beautiful bird to its new home. You have a nice evening and see you soon.
Thank you very much and have a good flight, sir.
Thank you, bye-bye.
She's very impressed with that. Okay,
Cool.
there we go.
Mirabel Radio, hello again, Air Baltic 9801 apron of Bombardier, and we're starting our taxi now, approaching the gate.
Air Baltic 9801, Mirabel Radio Ground, Roger, runway 06, wind 36004, altimeter 2965. So you can taxi via Tango, Bravo, and Kilo for runway 6.
Tango Bravo Kilo, runway 062965 on the altimeter. Baltic 9801.
Okay, just passing through the gate now. Should be a guy in the car.
Right is clear.
Yep. Security is. And it'll be now straight on Tango, right on
Yes.
Kilo.
We'll be taking off in just a minute or two. Runway 06 for departure, so more or less in the right direction for home. Today the flight time is around 7 hours and 15 minutes. So it means we expect to be arriving now, looks like around just a little bit before 6 a.m. local time. So we'll have a morning arrival into Riga, early morning arrival into Riga. Routing is the same as always, so it's just south of Greenland towards Iceland, and then over Norway to home. Weather should be good, no turbulence is forecast. So, thank you for the work as always for this acceptance. Number 18, that's Yankee Lima, Alpha Romeo. Gerhard and myself will do our best to give you a nice flight today. So, sit back, lie down, enjoy, and let's go home. Okay, this is Kilo. I'm back with you and taking a left, not a kilo, to hold short.
9801, change my frequency, 1191.
19-1, Baltic 980. Baltic 9801 on 19-1 with you on Kilo.
Baltic 9801, roger. Your clearance is valid, runway 06. Contact Montreal departures on 12465 airborne.
What airborne 12465, confirm the frequency?
Affirmative, 12465.
12465, one airborne. And we're approaching holding point 06, we're fully ready for departure.
So
Roger, departure at your discretion.
At our discretion, Baltic 9801 departure is valid.
perfect. Yeah, the departure is valid.
Yep.
Let's just quickly do the before takeoff.
Okay, perfect. So the cabin.
It's ready.
And the anti-ice.
It's auto.
Auto brake.
RTO.
ICAS and info.
Checked.
And with that, the B4 takeoff checklist is complete. We are cleared. The right side approach sector is free.
Okay, entering runway.
Traffic just about to take off. Runway.
Runway 06 is
We'll be climbing
left.
checked.
Series, can you start a left turn?
Yeah, that's confirmed.
South of the runway heading.
06 is
Quebec, so against this, so I want to be sure to understand exactly what you said.
Yeah, not a problem. Can you start a left turn for a long right downwind now? We'll have a departure C-Series, runway 06. We'll be climbing runway heading.
do some lights and belts.
Yeah, let's do the lights and belts.
We are going to do a left 360.
Lights and belts are done.
Okay, auto throttles on.
This time, I'm not sure I understood. No need for a left.
There goes the seatbelt sign. Please sit down and buckle up. Thanks.
And
On your heading now is good for a right down.
so 06 checked. We're cleared. Our
feel-
discretion.
Just listen to that
It's
guy.
a bit hard because the visibility is about 2 miles only.
Fine, but he's fine. He's clear. Super. So we're ready to go.
All right. All right. Ready.
Sorry, I missed the last.
Off
Let's
we
do
go.
it.
Fully ready. Yep. Enjoy.
You too.
Maximum 2 miles.
And of course, all of you as well. Enjoy the flight.
Go Quebec. Roger. It should get better at the airport. It's not great, but it's pretty good.
Set takeoff thrust.
And then, you know, it's thrust set.
Checked.
Roger.
V1.
Rotate. And positive climb.
Slick up.
Gear selected. Now we're leaving a frequency of Baltic 98, still on public.
So yeah, nice one.
9801, Roger, have a good day.
You do.
About 4220 Montreal departure identified, climb to 5,000, proceed direct to Cascade on course.
Cascade course and we climb to 5,000 from airport 220.
Departures, good evening, Baltic 98 SL1 out of Mirabel, Mirabel 9 departure, passing 1,800 feet.
Baltic 9801 Montreal Terminal identified, climb to 16,000.
16,000, Baltic 9801. 16,000.
Checked, and then we have the flight level change.
And that is set, checked.
Order 472, contact Montreal Center on 128.77.
2877, order 472, see ya.
Chinook 645, climb to 16,000.
16,000, Chinook 645.
Baltic 9801, when able, proceed direct Bieber on course.
We go direct Bieber now, Baltic 9801.
Sure.
Bieber direct.
Bieber.
72 off at 24 left.
Gonna direct.
Canada 672, Montreal.
Confirm Bieber.
Let's check.
And execute, and I can offer you. Well, nav is available already. Set the heading to auto.
Heading auto check, and
I can offer
climb
you.
sequence.
Climb sequence. Flat 1 selected.
Hotel Whiskey Quebec, are you direct to Omotie now?
Flap 0 selected.
Hotel Whiskey Quebec, climb to disregard. Kilo Whiskey Québec, mètre 4000 pieds, un trafic dans le circuit d'attente également, un Piper Seminole à 3000 pieds.
Québec, on surveille.
Romeo Tango Charlie, trafic dans le circuit d'attente, 1000 pieds au-dessus de vous, c'est un Cessna cardinal.
Tango Charlie, merci.
Hotel Whiskey Quebec, you're direct to
And I can
Omotie
offer
now?
the after takeoff checklist. So that's the ICAS
Hotel Whiskey
checked.
Quebec,
After takeoff checklist complete.
Thank you.
Via the approach RNAV runway 28 in the ship. Baltic 9801, contact Montreal Center on 128.22, good day.
2822, Baltic 987, bye-bye. There we are. Nice. 10,000. Montreal Center, Baltic 9801.
Center, Roger, climb flight level 280.
Climbing flight level 280, Baltic 9801.
Okay, so that's 280.
280.
And we go to standard.
Standard is setting.
And crossing 10,000 is a good time. Now I can do the lights and actually belts as well.
Super lights are off. Belts are ordered.
So, this is exactly as we were expecting. A nice departure homeward.
Yeah.
Eastward.
And we're nearly there. It's just 7 hours 41 to go.
7:41 to go.
Jeez.
And 6 o'clock in the morning for Riga arrival.
5.
We have a 2+. Correct.
Yep. But it will feel like 6.
That's for sure. So we'll initially level off for flight level 390, spend a bit of time there, and then, before we go for the rush, we'll go up to 440.
Roger, Quebec altimeter 2967.
It should be that our ACARS starts working.
Yep.
So I can actually send a message to Riga, give them the word that we're airborne, and looking forward to coming home.
Cool.
Uniform Foxtrot X-ray, Anido, Alpha, Lima, India, Delta, Oscar, Aéroport d'Ottawa, Tacol, Tango, Alpha, Kilo, Oscar, Lima, Uniform Foxtrot X-ray, direct destination, montée 6000 pieds, affiché code 4568, autorisation valide, autorisation annulée, pilote décollé 1935 et en vol, contactez-moi sur un D822. Echo Romeo Foxtrot, autorisé à l'aéroport de Baltic 901, contact Montreal Center 12392.
2392, Baltic 987, bye-bye.
401, 400.
Air Transit 401 Heavy, Montreal.
Montreal Center, good evening, Baltic 9801, passing flight level 266 for 280.
Air Baltic 9801, Montreal Center, good day, climb to flight level 290.
Climbing 290, Baltic 9801.
Okay, 290 set.
290 checked.
Must be some traffic close by.
No, nothing on the line yet.
So I fired off a ACARS message to operations. Let's see if we get some response from them.
Air Baltic 9801, procedure hoist and on course.
Hoist direct, Baltic 9801, thank you.
Can you put it up?
Yep.
Hoist direct.
Hoist. Confirm hoist.
Yeah, that's checked.
Execute. There we go.
Okay, so that's a nice direct.
Lufthansa 478, when you're ready.
Hoist is our entry point for the North
Yeah.
Atlantic.
So we have to report or get our clearance half an hour before.
30 minutes before, correct.
Yeah.
And hoist is actually just past the coast of Canada,
Yeah.
Newfoundland. So we have a ETA over hoist of 2105. That's approximately.
Air Baltic 9801, climb to flight level 370.
370, Baltic 980, thank you.
370 is set.
370 is checked.
And V flight level change.
Checked. So I've got a data link message coming in.
Yep, let's pull it
Okay.
up.
478, contact Montreal
Okay,
Center
have a look at it.
132.35. Have a good day.
Hi, great news. Guide on my ass.
Yes. So someone's waiting for us.
Yes.
Air Canada 672, contact Boston Center 128.05. Have a good day.
Actually looking forward to a coffee.
Got the.
Yeah, he's not there. The engineers are yabbing.
Always in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So with 145 seats in the back, our 4 crew members have quite the choice.
They do.
Hello, my name is Andris Vaivats. I'm technical director of the Air Baltic. Normally the assembly of the aircraft is started like around 6 months ago, and then it's many parts are collected together in the factory of the Montreal. So there is many different suppliers, including from the different areas of the world, Europe, Asia, USA. They produce the many parts, and that takes some time just to collect the aircraft. So the assembly of the aircraft is starting normally with the collecting of the so-called tubes. So they just put the whole fuselage together, and then they attach the wings. Then they place the landing gears, just put the aircraft on the ground, and move it to the different stage of the assembly. Then it's coming engines, some electrical systems, all other systems, and then it's coming to the interior. So the interior at the moment is the longest part of the assembly at the moment. It takes about almost 2.5-3 months now, but Airbus, they're trying to like expedite it and make it faster.
Okay, so we're back now, and the flight's moving along very smoothly, very nicely, very calm. We're on our North Atlantic part of the flight. Currently, we are halfway between the eastern coast of Canada and coming up to and halfway to the southern tip of Greenland. And now we're just crossing over our position, our waypoint, where we have to make a position report. This position is 58 north and 050 west. And so shortly, Gerhard will be in touch with Gander Radio to give them our position report. In this part of the flight, they're not using surveillance radar, so they don't have a direct radar view of us, and that's why the position report is important for them to keep track of where we're going.
Yeah, and I think I'll quickly do that now, just to report where we are. Gander Radio, Baltic 9801, position report.
Baltic 9801, Gander Radio, go ahead.
Baltic 9801, position 58 north, 050 west at 2139, estimating 61 north and 040 west at 2224 and 62 north, 030 west next. Baltic 9801.
And Baltic 9801, Gander, roger. Your position report is received. Just confirm you're still at flight level 410.
AFO maintaining flight level 410, Mach 0.78.
Roger, Mach 0.78. And your flight level 410, make your 40 west position report on this frequency.
This frequency, the 40 west, Baltic 9801.
Yeah, that's checked, nicely done.
Okay, so currently we're cruising at Mach 0.78. Gives us a ground speed here because we've just got a very light tailwind. It's a tailwind component of roughly 17 knots. So gives us a ground speed of 475 knots. To point out the fuel efficiency on this aircraft, we're currently having a fuel flow of 1700 kilos per hour, which is we're of course very light. You have to say that because we only have, so to say, 4 passengers on board. That is not too many, so not really any payload. Nevertheless, the fuel flow is of course extremely low if you compare that to classic transport aircraft of this size.
Currently the UTC time is 21:48. Time aloft has been 2 hours and 40 minutes since departure. and we have a total time of or exactly 5 hours until we're planning to land. In those 2 hours and 40 minutes, this aircraft has burned 5,535 kilos of fuel, and the distance flown 1,000, just coming up to 1,200 nautical miles, with 2,200 nautical miles to go. So still early in, coming up, not yet halfway through the flight. The aircraft came out from acceptance just a few days ago in Mirabel, and it has not flown any commercial flights yet, so it's no passengers have been on board, only people involved in the production of the aircraft, and also our team has been on board, so it's a pretty special feeling. Everything is so clean, brand new, clean and untouched, has a new car smell inside, which is something pretty nice to have. And we know that once the aircraft lands, we have a pretty standardized process for the aircraft to be prepared for commercial flights. We can do that very quickly, and actually the team comes on board, makes some changes, and both in terms of some configuration changes have to be made in some of the computers that we don't do in Mirabel, but we then also prepare the cabin, get some of our equipment and other loose equipment that has to be put on board. And I'm sure that the aircraft will be landing in the morning in Riga, early in the morning. And I don't know what the exact plan is. When we get a bit further on, we can be in touch with operations and find out what the exact plan is for this aircraft. I imagine that the aircraft will be in operations already same day. So within hours of arrival, the aircraft will be actually flying.
Yeah. It would not be the first time we've done that so far. We've had very, very short turnarounds, so ferrying the aircraft over from the production facility to Riga, and then of course we've got a commercial interest to put this aircraft into production as fast as possible. And there's not too much work to be done anymore. Everything has been prepared, and as Paul said, magazines need to be put on board, the passenger safety cards, and then roughly you can take the aircraft on its first commercial. Everything is so far set. All the preparations would have been done before we even took delivery of the aircraft.
I think we actually hold the world record for putting a commercial aircraft quickest into service, commercial service. Once we were comfortable with the process last summer, it was we delivered an aircraft. I did the ferry flight over, landed, and within 60 minutes, so under an hour, the aircraft took off or departed for its commercial flight. So of course we pre-planned and made sure that everybody was really like a pit crew, like on the Formula One, waiting for our arrival and then doing everything that's needed. But literally it was under an hour that the aircraft was already in commercial service after arrival from the direct flight to Montreal.
Yeah.
A little bit more about the acceptance process. In Mirabel, we have a team consisting of flight operations and technical staff, and also we have some people coordinating the process. Also, eventually, also our legal teams are involved. But in general, the aircraft goes through acceptance flight with where our specialist, our technical pilot, is putting the aircraft through the motions, and together with a test pilot or a factory pilot from Airbus Canada, where then they fly together a certain flight profile to check and demonstrate certain functionality of the aircraft. This is probably the most important process of the acceptance. Through the acceptance flight, it's shown that all the systems are operating, and obviously if any snag comes up during that process, then it's rectified prior to the aircraft coming into our ownership. So we have a few pilots that are trained and capable of doing this flight. Gerhard is also one of those pilots that can do this flight profile and make this technical acceptance. Maybe you have some words about the acceptance flight?
Yeah, sure. So these acceptance flights, they of course have the purpose to ensure that the aircraft is in a perfect condition as we take over. The ownership is still with the manufacturer, so the aircraft physically still belongs to Airbus at that time. And before we, send over the money for the aircraft and physically take ownership of it, we want to ensure that everything works and is to the standards we expect coming from the production, which is a standard process. And the first acceptance flight is around 4.5 hours. It very much depends on the weather conditions. We need certain weather conditions to fulfill certain tasks, and we need to have, of course, a certain area in which we perform this flight. We need to have that reserved for us. So around 4.5 hours. The one flight might take a little bit longer than the other, and that is where we work off a certain tasks which are very clearly defined. It is one of our pilots flying, so it would be either the technical pilot, I have the qualification as well, as Paul said, and it is one of the pilots of Airbus Canada, because of the legal side of them still having ownership. And then there are certain tasks in the cabin done at the same time. We check cabin equipment at certain altitudes. Of course, the cabin pressure varies between the aircraft being on ground and being on its ultimate cruising altitude of 41,000 feet. And we have a cabin pressure difference of roughly 8,000 feet, and we can see that now. We're cruising here at flight level 410, and we have down here the cabin at an altitude of 7,800 feet. So that is, of course, a significant pressure difference, and we want to just make sure that all the interior behaves the way we expect it to behave. All the lockers open, the lavatories work in the way they are expected to work. Of course, the galley equipment as well, ensuring that passengers get their service with meals and drinks the way we expect to be able to serve them on normal flights, doing passenger service. So all of that gets tested during these flights, just to ensure that we've got confidence in this specific edition and production number. They are, of course, all produced to the same standards, but as we all know, there are always small little differences when it comes to the fine-tuning, and we ensure that that is all done. We've got great support with Airbus, as we've always had from the very beginning of this aircraft. It is how would you say that, excellence, the way we are actually supported as a customer there. The focus to the details and the support we get by all of those employees involved from the manufacturer in this handover process of the aircraft is magnificent, and we're very, very satisfied with the support we get there. And yeah, so it might be that we would have to refly a certain portion of this flight. That might have different reasons. It might be that we couldn't see a certain detail. It could be that we were not allowed by air traffic control to do a certain portion of that flight. So it could be that we have to put a second or even a third cycle in this acceptance area onto the aircraft. And as I said before, this one here, for example, had 18 cycles. A standard would be something between 10 and 15. So we see that at an early stage, even before we enter the scene and start our acceptance process, that production pilots of the manufacturer have taken a lot of flights at an earlier time, just to fine-tune and make sure that everything is ready for us to to start the acceptance.
Finally, so once the aircraft is fine from a technical perspective and a documentation point of view, then basically it's agreed that the aircraft is to change hands, and that's when the lawyers get involved in terms of making the transaction and transferring the agreed amount from one account to the other, and finally there's a few signatures that are put in a few places, and the aircraft legally changes ownership from Airbus, the producer, to us, or if in the case it's through a leasing process, then there's the lessor, who is then the owner of the aircraft. We get documentation for the aircraft. We have, I think, the document binder that's put together with all the required documentation for the aircraft, with of course insurance being in place, and all the registration documents, airworthiness documents are already all prepared, and so the aircraft is technically ready to go and also legally ready to go, and that's when we take it home.
Currently, we've got a rather standard configuration here on our screens. We've got 5 screens in total, where the 2 outer ones on the center panel are, of course, related to our flight instrumentation, and these you cannot change unless there would be a sort of non-normal configuration, a non-normal situation where we would lose a couple of screens, they would go blank, then of course it would reconfigure, and it would take the big screen into a smaller format and squeeze other information into that main instrumentation screen. So with that, this is the normal configuration, which we would then drive with the instrumentation on the outer ones, and then on the 2 inner screens we have maps which we display, and we keep it as a standard that we would have on the right partition of the left center screen. We would then have our so-called ICAS in information display, which gives us all of the essentials. So Pals will point that out. It tells us something about our engines, for example, at which speed they are actually running, what kind of temperature they are producing at the moment. At the same time, we get information about fuel flow, and then on essentials like the oil temperature and the oil pressure in the engines itself, which is are very important and vital functions.
White is good, so any figure here in white means we're in a normal operating condition.
It's the vital information, and that contains, of course, then the engine parameters. It contains the fuel in the 3 tanks we've got available. We've got 2 wing tanks and a center tank, and then we've got the accumulated amount of fuel available.
System-wise, flight controls, so we see what the position, rudder, elevator, aileron at all time. Here we have our spoilers, our flight spoilers, our flaps, and when any change is made, then that'll be displayed, and information will be given here. So this is a normal flight, normal cruise condition. That we have the green now for the ailerons, elevator, and rudder, and nicely centered. Everything's in position. Fuel, I think we touched on. Hydraulics also, same principle as we've seen in the other schematics. So we have 3 hydraulic systems, and we see the status in terms of temperature, the quantity, percentage within, and this is fully normal, everything green and looking good.
So in earlier times, you needed to basically know everything by heart, and you would have a lot of memory items. So memory items are things which you need to do in a case of abnormality by memory. So you need to remember, okay, this system doesn't work totally normal now. Now I need to do that and that and that. It is, of course, or things like that when it comes to memories, are very vulnerable to people making mistakes. It's just natural, and in a natural thing to the human, that you would forget something or you would make a mistake. So with that, it is a lot easier today to just look it up, whatever you have, and you make sure that you do not make mistakes there. One may say that the pilot work, the pilot life gets more simple, and there's definitely something to it. It gets more sophisticated when it comes to other things. You didn't have GPS navigation in earlier times. You didn't fly certain approaches in certain weather conditions in earlier times, and so forth. So there's just simply a shift of what a pilot needs to do today. And yes, there's a lot of more automation and a lot more support. We just want to make sure that passengers can at any time rely on us operating this aircraft in an absolute safe way, without putting these mistakes which you would naturally be able to do as a human, to put them in. So very supportive, as you have modern computer technology behind it and the presentation of modern computer technology, you're just able simply to have that all displayed and at your convenience. 12785 crossing into the Iceland FIR, a Baltic 9801. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
That was beautiful. That was a 10 out of 10. You could use that in the communications textbook. Nice position report. Well done.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Makes me blush.
Yes. But the next assignment is we have our position, our next position, but he gave us the command to switch to Iceland radio, flying into the FIR boundary of Iceland, and so this is something we'll have to pull up the charts and try to find that IFR boundary, put it up on our page so we know when we should be talking to. I didn't mean we had to do it now. I'm just saying this is a little mental exercise that we're going to have to do, is try to navigation exercises to find this FIR boundary for Iceland.
And that's of course where charts come handy, and they are nicely displayed. We use an EFB, so to say, so an electronic flight bag, an EFB solution. We have a portable EFB solution, so it's not built into the aircraft, which has a lot of advantages. First of all, you don't need to change the hardware of the aircraft itself on a frequent base. As technology progresses, you can just do that with the EFB itself. In this case, it's a simple iPad which serves as the hardware. Nevertheless, it contains, of course, software inside, and the maps we use, they basically just reflect our flight routing, as we can see here. Pals has pointed that out at an earlier stage, where we're actually going to progress, and we've just passed Greenland here, and then Iceland is over here, and he told us something about the FIR boundaries, and they are clearly marked. So once we get in there, that is where we would basically change over.
So this is our waypoint that we're navigating to currently. This is this 62 north, 030 west, and before that, some distance, is this dotted line, dotted area, which is the boundary between Gander and Iceland. And yeah, the exercise will be to try to find where exactly on our route this is. Oh, we have something on our TCAS here. I didn't see this before. We have an aircraft approaching us. So currently it's 20 miles out. It's on our track, so it seems that they're tracking in the opposite direction. And since we're on the same track and coming towards each other, thankfully they're not at our altitude. We clearly see that the aircraft is 1,000 feet below us.
Yeah, but 10 miles out at the moment. The aircraft, as we can see here on the screen, Pals is pointing it out, we can downscale a little bit. 10 miles out, so that's just a short little while to go. We can see that it's very steadily maintaining 1,000 feet below. It's a minus there with 10, so it's in hundreds of feet displayed, so 100 feet is 1,000. So we can very clearly see that the altitude remains very, very steady, and that is just very simply to the fact that we are all flying on standard altimeter settings. So when we fly in accordance with a flight level, then we fly with, we can see that Pals will point it out, the standard altimeter setting, which is basically 1013. If we take that into hectopascals exactly, which we would use in Europe, that is a standard setting, and all of the aircraft would have the same setting above a certain altitude, and with that we all have the same distance, so that just that we make sure that there's no risk of collision and difference in the altimeter readouts. So Pals is the pilot flying today on this ferry, and I'm the pilot monitoring. As a pilot monitoring, I do assistant work, if you want to say so. So that means, first of all, that I do all of the ATC communication, and position reports are on an Atlantic crossing, of course, part of the ATC communication. Let them know where we are, where we want to go, what our intentions are, and so forth. And the other things are, of course, that when it comes to certain settings, the pilot flying, which is Pals, wants to have, it's then my job to implement them. So I do assistant work. On a normal line flying day, when we go out and do a passenger flight, we typically fly from A to B, and then of course back from B to A. And it will be one pilot then doing the first route and the other one doing the second route. And with that we change our jobs, or the job content, if you want to say, in the sense of the one flies and the other one assists. And here my job is assisting. I do the paperwork, I check the fuel over certain waypoints, and so forth. So we're back. We are currently shortly before Iceland. As you can see here, we are very soon reaching the beam position, and still steadily on our way to Riga. And in the meanwhile, the sun has set on the northern side, on Pal's side. There's still a lot of light blue sky, so to say, on my side here on the right. It's getting pretty dark. We've got the full moon up. Normally we get into a romantic mode and then put a candle up and hold hands and things, sing songs. Not this time.
Not this time. But actually a very nice, clear, large full moon for us.
Yeah, really, which is very pleasant. Very low cloud field. We can't really see anything of the ground. Now, where we were.
Just one more note. So we have the sunset behind us, and actually quite shortly we would expect we'll have a sunrise, or it's starting to get light again up in the north over Europe, and we'll see it to my left there. Time-wise, we're in now. Time aloft is 4 hours and 17 minutes, and time to go is 3 hours and 23 minutes. So we're nicely over the halfway point. We, by the way, that's our Baltic. We were the worldwide launch operator for the larger version of this aircraft, the one that we operate, which is the 300 version. So we were the world launch operator of the Airbus, the C-Series 300 at the time, the Airbus A220-300.
Yeah, where Pals, so we have a lot of firsts, and Pals has been the first one to actually actively fly outside of the customer acceptance. So he did the first ferry flight of this aircraft, which we did together as a team. Nevertheless, Pals did that flight, and we're all very proud, of course, of this entire process we have been involved in. To have that opportunity as a human being, as a pilot, as a company as such, is a great thing to experience. And we've had lots of great moments just being involved in this in the introduction of this new aircraft.
Yeah. Maybe one first we had together, as you mentioned, that we did last fall. So less than half a year ago, we had the opportunity in the fall to fly a very special VIP passenger. And I guess in terms of VIPs, there are only a few in the world that rank up in this level.
Yes, it's been the Pope. We were in the very special and very honourable position to be able to fly him on a tour of the Baltics. So he visited the Baltic states, and we were chosen to provide transportation for him, and that was a very, very special experience overall.
Yes.
With modern technology, where you have computers behind just everything, all of this, the data transferred from one system to the other. It's not only presented here on screens in the flight deck, but of course it gets recorded as well. So system behavior, some of it which we don't even get to see, and which not necessarily needs to be non-normal. It could be just normal operations of the system. But all of this data gets collected and it gets transferred automatically into our headquarters, into the maintenance department, so that they have an active picture of how the aircraft is actually, as a technical tool, behaving. So once we get to Riga and we land there, we might see technicians there who want to just do a checkup on a certain system, or who just know about a certain system behavior, which is in limits for us pilots, but which we might, have a certain attention by the technicians themselves. So with modern technology of collecting data, recording it, and being able to transfer it, the intensity of being able to look at the behavior of the tool itself is much more easy.
Yeah, one thing I definitely need to and want to mention is about pilot recruitment and also our pilot academy. I'll maybe do a few words about the academy, and then Gerhard will fill us in a bit more about recruitment. So since last April, so it's been over a year, Air Baltic Training has opened up, expanded its portfolio, training portfolio to include ab initio pilot training.
For the instructors, of course, they are active airline pilots with us, and they do part-time within that entire job engagement. They work as instructors in the academy, and it's of course an excellent opportunity to have the full diversity of whatever aviation might offer to a pilot. Instructing, flying online, doing different jobs throughout the month. It's a nice opportunity which a lot of pilots welcome. Not everybody. Some of them just like to fly from A to B every day. Some others like to pick up the more diverse variation. When it comes to pilot selection itself, of course, the young students who come from the pilot academy have already got a very good chance to get in. First of all, specifically if they're trained with us, they've been trained up to, first of all, on very modern equipment, up to excellent standards which we require our pilots to have. And all of the training which has been conducted in the pilot academy has been, of course, with a very clear focus of operating a modern aircraft like this. So as they have excellent and brand new equipment in the pilot academy, it's a very good baseline to get started on an aircraft like this. We have a lovely climate in our company when it comes to the people working with each other, and we'd like to keep that. We'd like the person joining us as well, knowing that he comes into an environment where it's just fun to work with the people in our company. And so we look at the personality of the person, and if he fits to us, if that's or she, of course, we're more than welcome looking into female pilots. Unfortunately, the number of female pilots, first of all, available on the market is rather low, and we'd like to encourage females to join this fantastic job. We are a multinational company. We focus on a single language. We speak English with each other. Paul's is Latvian, I am German. We communicate in English. It's the aviation standard. That's what we do, and everybody in the company has that as his first company language.
Yeah. So I mentioned the Pilot Academy, which is a way to, it's actually, if you kind of step back, it's pretty unbelievable that there's a way that someone can go from zero, and 2 years later, it's not even 2 years later, be sitting in this cockpit, flying this aircraft.
Yeah, the pilots which join us on different levels of experience, of course. We do require experience. If they don't come out of our own pilot academy, where we do know exactly about every single step they've taken during their training, and where we have influence on the training itself, then we do require, first of all, excellent backgrounds on education and experience. The aircraft we fly is a Dash 8 Q400. It's the fastest turboprop, commercial turboprop on the market, and the pilots need to really know what they're doing before they get a direct entry captain seat in this company. Maybe worth to say that there's no direct entry captain coming onto this aircraft here. They all have to come out of our own pilot corps. They have to be working for Baltic and being able to demonstrate their proficiency, their ability to work in our team, integrate, show on a constant base their proficiency. So we do only want to move people out of different other positions into the left seat on this aircraft. Nevertheless, yes, the position we have on offer on the market is pretty interesting. Actually, it's a direct entry captain's position for the turboprop, and it gives those captains a guarantee that no later than 1.5 years they will be in the left seat of this A220. And I think you can really search for an offer like that. That is something pretty unique.
So here we are, sunrise, today again, and we're in the home stretch. Yes, we're very much in the home stretch, back in very familiar territory over the Baltic Sea, Air Baltic over the Baltic, and soon to be starting our descent into Riga. Just looking, I see that we've been flying for 7 hours and 10 minutes. And 35 minutes to go. A few more stats. We have used so far 12,545 kilos of fuel. On board we still have 4,400, so that's plenty. We could still keep going for quite some more distance. But perfect flight so far. Nice and smooth. No, aircraft's been working beautifully, and it never really got dark.
Sure.
We had
the north.
Yeah, the northern sky was had some light the whole flight through. On your side, the southern part was dark, but nice and smooth, and nice flight so far. How are you feeling?
Yeah, totally fine. Home soon. So the red eye special is coming to an end.
Yeah, it's coming to an end. Since we'll be starting our descent in some 5 to 10 minutes, just we've set up the FMS, but we can run through our through what we're preparing for, and a short briefing on our approach to our home base. So in Riga, weather's good. Actually very nice. It's cab okay.
Yep.
Light wind, 5 to 7 knots from the west. So it's exactly from the west. It could be any runway, but it's runway 18 in use for Riga, and dry runway, and 15 degrees Celsius. So nice morning. It'll be warming up, and should be a nice smooth arrival in. In terms of what we have in the FMS, yeah, we'll start shortly. It looks like in 3 to 5 minutes we'll start our descent. Inbound. So far we have the 10C4 Alpha arrival in the FMS with the transition Gudin for ILS-18. We're actually already inbound to Gudin, so that means that we're expecting to not even have the arrival as being relevant. Sure. Arrival data, it's ILS-18, frequency 1111, final approach course 178, and glide slope angle is 3 degrees, and the threshold elevation is 31. We know this is correct from our chart for runway 18. I've set up a flap 4 performance with the speed 119er. Our landing weight is 42.4 tons.
Checked.
Landing performance has been checked with for the approach speed 119. We have the auto brake set on low. We're very light. Our normal SOP would be landing with medium auto brake. They can actually start a descent.
Riga Labrit, Baltic 9801. Direct to Gudin, and we're at flight level 410 and requesting descent.
Labrit, Air Baltic 9801, Riga Control, identified descent at level 110.
Sending flight level 110, Baltic 9801.
Okay, so flight level 110 is set.
110 checked.
And we'll go into vertical speed, so V vertical speed, and a very shallow descent for the time being.
Checked.
500 feet per minute is set in.
Cool.
Yeah, so landing performance is checked with the ref speed of 119er on flaps 4.
Hey.
And just a final review of the approach, the ILS approach for runway 18. We have the plate from 25 January 19, it's 11-1.
Yep.
Frequency 1111 as checked in the FMS, final approach course 178. We have a safety altitude 1700 feet for this arrival and also for the go-around. We're going inbound to Gudin and we'll be ready to also take it a bit shorter for the arrival. I'm sure ATC will allow us to do it. So it'll be 2,500 feet or down to 1,500 to intercept the localizer.
Yeah, that's checked, okay.
Check. Minimum, I need to put that up. 240 barrows set. And the missed approach is climb on track 178 to 1,200, then it's a left burn. Radial 173 to Rekby, climbing 2,500.
Yeah.
When we vacate, we're going to be vacating to the left, expecting to do that on Charlie. And it'll be a very short taxi in because we're going to 218. So we'll just have to make sure we follow the 3-minute cooling period for the engines because we'll probably arrive on the stand faster than the 3 minutes.
Clear.
That is my briefing. Any questions on that? Anything
No.
Okay. Good. Then in this case, let's do the descent and approach checklist.
Descent and approach checklist. So we've got the wing at as an open item. FMS.
It's set.
The minimum.
240 set.
The auto brake.
Low.
ICAS.
ICAS is checked.
And the approach briefing.
It's complete.
And one item to go, the anti-swing. So we've got the checklist started.
Okay, that's complete. Thank you. Yeah, coming up to the top of descent point.
Yep. There we go, the V-path is coming in.
That's checked. Top of descent.
Check.
And V-path.
Check.
Speed 28, contact Sweden control 135, correctional 124.155.
124.155, speed 28, goodbye.
Goodbye.
So we can complete the checklist if you like.
Perfect, let's do that.
Super. Anti-swing is in auto and the descent and approach checklist is complete.
Checked.
V-path is captured. Checked.
Okay, we can see the horn of Western Latvia below us, so it looks like it'll be a nice day.
Yeah.
Looks like it'll be a nice day. Your ATC, I'm going to take the passengers.
Fine.
Or
cool.
not passengers, or crew. Give them a heads up. We're on a direct track for a landing on runway 18, so it means from the Gulf side southbound to Riga. We'll be landing pretty shortly, less than 20 minutes to go. Weather for Riga is perfect. Light wind from the east. Clear skies. Morning temperature is 15 degrees Celsius, so it should be a nice, warm, pleasant day for our arrival. It means our landing is going to be at 5 minutes before 6 in the morning, so 5:55 local time, and our stand will be 218. So actually, we'll have a very short taxi, and we'll be already on the stand for arrival. Our team is waiting for us, and so we'll shortly be back now on the ground, back with the rest of our team. Okay, I hope you had a good rest, good flight, and see you in Riga.
Air Baltic 9801, contact Riga approach on 129 and raise 1925, goodbye, base level.
2925, Air Baltic 9801,
Base swap.
Riga Labrid, Air Baltic 9801 with Zulu.
Air Baltic 9801, Riga approach, Labrid identified, vectoring flawless approach runway 18, continue to Udin, expect 60 track miles to touchdown, descent 4,000 feet, QNH 108.
Makurin, descending 4,000 feet, 1019, Baltic 9801.
1019er?
19er.
Yeah, and okay, just to check what the 3009. And yeah, so it's 4,000 set, and we can go then to 1019. There we are. Good. And the track miles were checked, so it's more or less
60. It's actually what is announced for full approach.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
Coming up 10,000 lights and belts, please.
Lights and belts. Lights and belts are on.
And descending 4,000 on 1019.
Checked, 1019.
Baltic 9801 on present heading, descent 2,500 feet.
Something on present heading 2,500 feet, Baltic 986, correction 9801.
Okay, 2,500 it's set, and
2,500 checked.
On heading.
Heading checked as well.
That means, if you could give me, please, I'll go into vertical speed.
Yeah.
And VNAV's off, and that extended center line from Foxtrot to India.
Super, the extended center line. Confirm?
Yep, that's checked.
Execute.
Perfect. Looks like one layer of cloud up here, yeah. 6,000 feet approximately.
Riga approach, Labrid, Baltic 409er, information X-ray.
Baltic 409, Riga approach, Labrid identified, 60 track miles to touchdown, expect vectors, descent 5,000 feet, QNH 108.
Descending 5,000 feet, QNH 1018 and copy the Baltic 409.
Baltic 9801, QNH 1018.
1018, Baltic 9801.
1018.
And that's set and cross-checked.
Good.
Should see the cruise ship coming in for a day.
Yep. Hard to miss.
Yeah.
Okay, speed's looking good, so flap 1 please.
Flap 1 selected.
Baltic 9801, turn left heading 100.
Left 100, Baltic 9861.
Left for some reason, huh?
Yeah.
Baltic 03 X-ray, good descent. Air Baltic 03 X-ray, descent to flight level 60. 60, Baltic 03 X-ray.
Yeah, 1,000 to go on 1018.
Let's check with 101.
407.
Select flap 2.
Flap 2 selected. Baltic 901, 1 mile from touchdown, turn right heading 140, clear approach runway 18, report establishment local order. Right 140, clear the ILS, 1 echo established 980.
Okay, alt is captured, 2500.
Baltic 409,
and we cleared the approach on heading 140, so we have approach traffic sound.
Checked.
Confirm, would be nice, short approach for Baltic 409, thank you.
Baltic 409, turn left heading 345, descend 2500 feet.
Left heading 345 and descend 2500 feet, Baltic 409.
Approach, good morning, Baltic 8 Hotel November. Information, Yankee, request free speed and short approach.
Baltic 8 Hotel November, number 4 in sequence, request Cockpit after Gunta.
Approach FRS 1, lock 1, and lots of that's checked.
Gunta and then 020 right arm.
And lock 1.
Check.
And established localizer.
Yeah. Established localizer 9 miles, Baltic 9801. Baltic 901, contact Riga Tower, 118.105 is level. 8105, Baltic 9801 is level.
Okay, let's off schedule.
Baltic 9801, 8 miles, established 18.
Baltic 9801, Labritic Tower, wind 090 degrees, 6 knots on 18, clear land.
Clear to
2500.
Baltic 981.
2500 checked, we're clear to land.
Checked, we're clear to land, exactly.
Perfect. Select landing gear down and do landing sequence.
Gear down selected, landing sequence, flap 3 selected.
And I'll take it manually now. So auto throttle is disconnected.
Cool.
And
Auto throttle.
that's the autopilot.
Checked. Flap 4 selected.
Okay.
And the before landing check is altimeters.
1018, set and cross check.
Set and cross check 1018. Flap
4 indicating.
and the cabin.
It's ready.
With that, that's before landing check is complete. We are clear to land.
Yep, check clear to land. And we actually managed to beat the crowd.
Yeah, we did.
3 aircraft behind us.
We are stabilized and clear to land.
Check and contact.
Checked.
A little bit of a crosswind on the left.
Yeah, 26, 27.
You can see them.
check 100 degrees, 6 knots.
Plus 100. Minimums. $100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Baltic 9801, taxi by Charlie Papa, stand 18. Charlie Papa 18, Baltic 9801, you want us to remain on this frequency? You can switch to ground. Okay, well then.
Okay, Charlie Papa.
Yeah.
And 218 as planned.
Yes.
Timing, yeah, for the...
Ground Operator, Baltic 98, still 1 vacated, Charlie Papa 218. Have fun.
Same guy.
I started timing on my side, and we can do the after landing sequence.
Super.
Ground is there for Alpha Lima, good morning, stand 304, the Cockpit clearance is available.
Start the APU.
Is there for Alpha Lima, good morning, Riga Tower clear to Luton, valid 5 Echo departure, squawk 4360.
APU and start.
Yes, Luton,
outside free.
Valid 5 Echo departure, 4360 for the squawk is there for Alpha Lima. Correct.
Look familiar?
Yeah, it does.
Been here before?
I think so.
Okay, good.
Riga ground, Baltic, Yankee Lima Charlie Sierra Echo. Yankee Lima Charlie Sierra Echo, ground.
A nice and slow taxi now. We still have...
Yeah, we need to cool down the engines a little bit.
Before we can shut them down.
Riga ground, Air Baltic, Yankee Lima Charlie Sierra Echo. Yankee Lima Charlie Sierra Echo, ground.
And first stand here is 218, the one that we need. Coming in, taxi lights off, please.
Taxi light is off.
Going approved, Vapor.
No big...
Baltic 409, wind 090 degrees, 6 knots.
No big celebration for our arrival here.
It is disappointing.
But
how can that be?
But most importantly, we see Gattis.
Yeah.
Waiting for us. Gattis is always waiting for our aircraft, and we thank him for that. Brakes on.
Cool.
We have a few seconds still to run now.
Yeah, that's true. You can get started if you like.
Yeah, shutdown checklist.
No steer.
Off.
The APU and or external power. This is related.
Yeah.
Door slides disarmed.
That's with connection. Just check. The front doors are disarmed. APU is running. APU is on. So
APU is on. Yeah, and the 3 minutes are coming to.
Yep, we have the 3 minutes.
Perfect. Left engine run.
Off.
Right engine run.
Off.
Seat belts.
Off.
Beacon.
Off. flight control test not required now. The hydraulic 3A. It's off. 3B. Off. 2B. Off. And then ground power is available. Yeah. And shutdown checklist is complete.
Bonjour, Baltic 03, Baltic 03, Riga Tower. Good morning. Continue. Approach runway 18. 03.
That's it. There we are.
There we are, Gerhard.
Yes.
So it looks like after 7 hours and 45 minutes airborne, Yankee Lima Alpha Alpha Romeo is back. No, it has arrived to its new home.
Exactly. So has number 18 in the fleet. Some of the others are standing here around, and they will go out for some flights. Same as this one here later on.
So it's been a pleasure flying with you today, and we can wish Alpha Alpha Romeo many
landings.
Happy and safe landings.
I hope. That's true.
Okay, let's do it again.
Definitely.